bills to counter Texas in a nationwide fight over election maps. California Democrats or Democratic lawmakers want to redraw congressional maps as Texas, led by Republicans, moves toward final approval of its plans. Tyrone Bowman, live. This is an update to a video that I made not too long ago. According to the Washington Post, the California Assembly on Thursday passed the first of three bills aimed at drawing new congressional maps as Democrats try to counter a Republican-driven effort in Texas. The blue and red states are rejiggering their maps in hopes of creating new U.S. House districts that would give their parties an advantage in next year's midterm elections. Though Texas and California have acted first, an array of other states are also moving ahead. Republicans are eyeing changes in Indiana, Ohio, Missouri, and Florida. Democrats are looking at whether they curve out more seats or whether they can curve out more seats in Illinois. The extraordinary fight over the terrain for next year's election has included an assertion from President Donald Trump that his party is entitled to more House seats, a 2-week walkout by Texas Democrats, and an array of lawsuits and threats from both parties in multiple states. California lawmakers say their new Democrat-leaning maps, adding as many as 5 blue seats, are necessary to respond to what they view as a power grab by Texas House Republicans, who approve a new map Wednesday night. That would give their party an edge in winning as many as 5 new GOP seats in Congress. The Texas Senate is expected to follow suit by Friday, sending the measure to Governor Abbott for his signature. The bill passed in the California Assembly was the first of 3 related measures that were being concurrently debated by the California Assembly and Senate early Thursday. Democrats hope to pass all 3 bills by this afternoon and send them to Democratic California Governor Gavin Newsom, who plans to sign them immediately. California has more hurdles in its process than in Texas because the state constitution requires that an independent nonpartisan panel draw its congressional maps. Thursday's bills create a proposed constitutional amendment that will come before voters in November, allowing them to bypass that commission and approve the Democratic-leaning maps. This isn't politics as usual. It's an emergency for our democracy. And we're acting now to save our future, Newsom wrote on X Thursday. Republican lawmakers in California tried several parliamentary maneuvers to delay the vote. And y'all got upset when the Democrats did the same exact thing. Such hypocrites. Just total hypocrisy. They were upset with the Democrats down in Texas when they left the state the same way that the House congressional leader in Washington left the state. So it was okay for Johnson to leave the state, but the Democrats couldn't leave the state. Then he threatened them with civil contempt of prison. So now the Republicans are in opposition to what the Democrats are doing in California, crying it's unfair. The Republican leader of the California Assembly, James Gallagher, noted in his speech on the floor Thursday morning that the state's voters weighed in against gerrymandering through ballot measures in 2008 and 2010 and created the state's independent redistricting commission that aims to draw nonpartisan lines. Do you think the Republicans are going to go along with that? No. These are difficult times, and they call for difficult measures to be taken. Twice they told us they want independent redistricting, fair representation. Gallagher told his colleagues on the assembly floor, you move forward fighting fire with fire. What happens? You burn it all down. Well, then burn it all down then. Y'all don't want democracy, you want tyranny. And in this case, it affects our most fundamental American principles, representation. But it doesn't affect representation down in Texas though, right? It's okay for them to do what they want to do. But the governor of California doesn't have the right to exercise his gubernatorial powers. Originally, Democratic lawmakers said in the bill that the changes to California's maps would begin only if Texas or another Republican-controlled state gives final approval to changes in its own map. That was the contingency. But the representative for the Republicans, Gallagher, did not make mention of that because he wants it to seem like it is a one-sided partisan issue. But they amended the bill Thursday morning to remove that trigger language and any mention of Texas or other states. Democrats were working on a tight deadline because the orders for the special election must be transmitted to California Secretary of State Shirley Weber, a Democrat, by Friday to get the measure on the November ballot. Newsom and his Democratic allies in the legislature insist that they still support the independent redistricting committee process, which was created by voter-approved ballot measures in 2008 and 2010, and is popular with the state's voters. But they argue that their partisan response to Texas is necessary to check the power of Trump, who urged Texas's governor to redraw his state's maps. So, what's the issue here? If Governor Greg Abbott can do it, why can't Governor Newsom do the same thing? How come Texas governor can do whatever he wants to do to maintain the balance of power, but when it comes to California, you're saying that Governor Newsom doesn't have the gubernatorial authority, the power to do it? Seriously. Republicans hold a 219, 212 U.S. House minority with 4 vacancies. Democratic control would give the opposition power to thwart Trump's legislative agenda and launch investigations into him and his administration. You Republicans are in trouble. You're going to be upset at the end of when the midterm elections end in November of next year. People are angry. And I'm going to reiterate this, and I'm going to continue to say it because it's true. Inflation is up. Is out of control. They're trying to put a spin on it and make it seem like everything is fine. Homelessness is up. Homeless people are now being thrown into prison instead of helping them get the help that they need. Joblessness is up. People have lost their jobs in unprecedented amounts. Everything is going up. The food prices are still insane. Gas is out of control. The economy is teetering on what I call economic bankruptcy because the rich and the powerful, not all, but the majority of them, don't give 2 flips in the wind about what the average person is dealing with and going through. Mothers are having a hard time keeping food on the table, and now that the big beautiful bill has slashed the EBT system down to nothing, even wanting those on Medicaid who get Medicare and Medicaid to get out there and work in their twilight years. This is ridiculous. And you're trying to convince us that this is what y'all voted for? You're a liar. You had no idea this is going to go down this way. And you see what's happening with the farms around the country and with the agricultural industry. The Mexicans and the Latinos were the backbone and hub of the agricultural industry. With mass deportations at a rapid warp speed, farmers are complaining. Many of them are going bankrupt. Their crops are rotting. People don't want to come to work. Many factories are closing. Down in Ohio, over 600,000 Haitians are soon to be deported. They were the ones who stimulated the economy to their hard work and etc. Now the economy down in Ohio will go back to basically nothing again. And they're going to feel it. And you're trying to convince us with the upcoming midterm elections that are going to take place that people are happy, that they're just aimlessly going to go and say, you know what, we're going to vote to let you all keep the balance of power. And let me say this before I finish this article. Until it comes to your city, your town, your family, and your loved ones, some of y'all don't care. But when it comes to your city, to your town, to your family, and to your loved ones, and y'all begin to feel the brunt of it, especially in the Midwest, in those small towns, then you begin to wonder why. You already know why. When, just like I told them last night in the video about SEPTA and the mayor in Philadelphia. You mean to tell me the mayor of Philadelphia cannot get a deal done to stop the transit system from eliminating over 30 plus rides? Are you trying to convince me they can find money for a new stadium, which is costing billions? You can find money for a WNBA team to come to the city, which is fine and well. You found money to give to Chinatown and the Asian Business Association to pacify them, but you don't have money for the children to go to school. You don't have money to stop SEPTA from eliminating over 52 different bus routes. This is serious business. What are these young men and women supposed to do when it's time for them to go back to school after Labor Day? Why is it that SEPTA is complaining, but they're still buying new trolleys and new buses? They're complaining, but none of those big fat executives want to take away any money from their 6-digit annual salaries, plus the benefits package they receive. Yes, I said it. It's a darn disgrace what's going on in this country. And all this is strategically planned because no money is coming into Democratic cities to make them look bad, so that when the midterm elections come and other things are happening, then blame them. But it's not going to work. The plausibility factor of trying to blame the Democrats, what's going on in this nation, is not going to pass the smell test. Not this time. And if there's $250 million to build a big, beautiful ballroom, why isn't there money for SEPTA to make sure that people don't lose their jobs and make sure that young men and women can go to school? I'm concerned about our young people. And do you know what the adverse effect of that is? Parents will get fired from their jobs because now they got to find an alternative way to get their children to go to school. If they show up late, these insensitive, non-empathetic employers will fire them on GP. And suppose they can't make it to work. Some people work in 1, 2, and 3 jobs around the clock with only about 2 to 4 hours worth of sleep. Come home, take a quick bath or shower, then have to get up, get some shut-eye, get up, they're tired, they're fatigued, and get out there and do it all over again. And you're trying to convince us that what's happening in Texas is supposed to happen, but Governor Newsom can't do the same thing in California, and now the Republicans are whining and crying all over the place how it's unfair. Well, how do you think the Democrats felt down in Texas knowing that the governor is going to sign the gerrymandering law for redistricting of congressional areas? And Governor Newsom is going to do the same thing. Now you're upset? Seriously? GOP leaders in the California legislature have argued that Democrats controlling the process have allowed little transparency, even shrouding the identities of the lawmakers involved in drawing the new district lines. Aren't y'all doing the same thing? You all are doing the same exact thing across the nation. And you cry foul when the Democrats do the same thing. And you don't want anybody to say anything about it or against it, because you think that you all have a God-given divine mandate to just walk all over people. This is a battle between people and politicians. Gallagher said in an interview Wednesday. The people spoke very loud, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. Doesn't matter. But the Texas House voted Wednesday along party lines, 88 to 52 to advance that state's new maps. But that's okay to do, though. It's okay to do it in Texas, but it's not okay to do it in California. The process has been especially contentious with Democrats fleeing the state. So what? Johnson fled the state out of Washington, D.C. when it came to voting to release the Epstein files. Him and everybody packed up, left town. So now you got mad when the Democrats did the same thing. It's called fight fire with fire. And they denied the Republicans a quorum. Upon the return, Republicans barred them from leaving, locked them in from leaving the Capitol without a police escort. They need to sue y'all behinds. The Democrats need to sue y'all unreal. That's called imprisonment. House Speaker Dustin Burns, a Republican, said, passage of the congressional map has ushered in a new chapter of Republican unity. And I'm proud to have led my colleagues in this important achievement. Well, let's see that same smirkish attitude come to pass when California does the same exact thing. Y'all don't care nothing about the constituency in Texas. You only care about power and money, greed, avarice, how much you can steal, how much you can hurt the average person, even in your own districts. And when it comes back to bite you, and it will, in many ways, because you will reap what you have sown. That's from the Bible. Forget about karma. Let's take the words from the Holy Script. You, as a man soweth, that shall he also reap. Quote, close quote. You will reap it in ways you can never imagine. And then when you're reaping, nobody is going to feel sorry for you. So there you have it. One of three measures. Wait a minute, let me read the headline right. California passes first of three bills to counter Texas in a nationwide fight over election maps. California Democratic lawmakers want to redraw congressional maps as Texas, led by Republicans, moves toward the final approval of its plans. And that's the way it's going to be. And if you Republicans think folk are not angry, if you think they're not mad, if you think they're not, and you all know they're coming out to vote, but you're not going to stop them from voting. And you're not going to stop the change in the balance of power. All right, thank you all for watching. I know this particular video has been a little long. Never surrender, never quit.